Welcome back. Well, as promised, Sanjay Nayar, the CEO and country head at KKR India, has joined us. KKR has been, of course, busy doing a lot. But first up, Sanjay, morning, welcome.
Morning.
Tell us about this interest in JBF Industries. What made you interested in that company, and what kind of interest?
I think, well, as you know, JBF is a big PTA and filmmaker, polyester film. It's kind of a global company catering to global markets. A classic case of a company which is otherwise doing quite well, has a lot of capital work in progress in a new plant, and then, for whatever reason, things get delayed and banks are not able to give the last mile financing. So you have $750 million in the ground and you don't get the last 75. And I think that's where KKR, with the Special Situations Fund, was able to help them complete the last mile, which will otherwise, jeopardize the completion of the projects, and some more liquidity just to make sure that they have enough working capital. So, therefore, we are putting in about $160 million, just short of 1,000 crores, and it's structured in two tranches. But it's a pure equity investment from our Special Situations Fund. That's really about it. I mean, it's the low of the cycle, and it's an interesting time to get into a company like this.
1,000 crores is big money. So what kind of growth do you see for this polyester films business?
Polyester film, there's all this linked to consumption, basically, right? It goes into consumer durables, it goes into consumption products. So I don't think it's going to be that great, but I think there is it's a pretty well architectured market. If you have the capacity, there are certain margins you make. And I think you get the capital structure right. I think that's where you get the equity value creation in a company like this. The underlying business is a steady, solid business. It's not a tremendously high growth business. But if you get the cap structure right, you get your capacities right, you get your manufacturing and sales right, I think it benefits a lot.
So would you at some point look to perhaps increase stake further?
Can't comment on that.
Okay.
Too early. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you also provided a credit facility to Amtech, didn't you? What was the nature of the help, and is it equity or only debt?
Well, firstly, we didn't provide any loan to Amtech from our India business.
KKR and Company LP.
Yeah, so it was done from one of our US
2014.
direct lending funds. It was one of our US direct lending funds that gave, again, a very structured, very interesting loan. I don't have all the details, so I won't comment on that. For Amtech's foreign businesses. So quite different than India.
But is that loan still intact?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so, we're just trying to understand, how do you really recover a loan in a situation like this when the company's, tumbles like a house of cards? I mean, the financials of the company have been under quite a bit of stress since the time you gave out that loan.
Well, firstly, again, our loan is in the foreign company.
Yes.
That's totally different than the Indian venture. So I don't want to comment on the Indian side, but the foreign company is doing quite well, catering to a lot of the OEMs and vehicle manufacturers overseas, and actually doing quite well.
Okay, that's Amtech Global Tech you're
That's
talking
right.
about.
You also lent some time back, I think, we even spoke to you after that, of financing of $175 million to GMR. Is that the start of more lending? Has that loan been recovered, or is it a longer term loan?
It's a loan. It's a kind of a structured loan from our NBFC in India. So that again is something that is a solution to a kind of a situation that the group is in. I think it's a much longer term loan, so no question of recovering right now.
Okay.
I think it's performing absolutely well. And again, this is an example where large conglomerates who've been sort of bottlenecked because of delays in projects and approvals, and get the capital structure a little bit out of sync. I think that's where long-term callable facilities like this become extremely helpful to them. We did that in Avanta, if you remember, and it's been absolutely fine, and they got a lot of time to restructure the business and make the most of it. So I think these kind of solution-oriented mezzanine fundings become very useful to Indian conglomerates because of the situations that they have landed up in. Mostly because of erstwhile issues as they pertain to policies and bottlenecks and all kinds of delays that you know about.
Actually, under the new strategic debt restructuring, banks are converting their loans into equity, and they are looking for people to buy up. We have a lot of electro steel and Jyoti structures, and lately even Gammon India. I mean, about a dozen of them almost. Are you interested in any of them? Because I believe the banks are approaching the PE guys.
Yeah, I think you're hearing about it. I don't think we've seen any approaches as yet.
Nobody approached you?
I think the most important thing is to see the bankruptcy code going through the floor of Parliament, which has now been referred to the Select House. We're all trying to help out to give them the right model, and I think this government is quite sincerely determined to get it done, which I think will be a very, very positive reform. I don't think all of you talk enough about it, but the bankruptcy code will lead to the development of a real credit market and real mobility of assets. We're looking at ARC, as you know. So we're sort of, in a way, trying to build another platform. But I don't think there is any imminent action right now till the banks begin to transfer assets at a fair market value. And fair market value is not the value on their books, by the way. So I think, with a step in the ARC, kind of a toe in the ARC field, which we are taking, a special situation fund next to it, which will bring in a lot of money if we get the assets at the right price. I think that's when you'll see the real resolution of assets and movement of assets off the bank's balance sheets.
What is this money you're putting in the ARC? Are you buying a stake from the Tatas and the HDFC banks, or are you going to partner with them? How much money? How much are you putting in?
Well, the money is not yet fully disclosed, but basically we will be anywhere between, we will be in a kind of a majority position. The stakes are not fully disclosed. It's all pending regulatory approvals, FIPB and RBI. But we are getting into IRC, and we are not taking anybody out. I think we're just basically putting in new money to capitalize the ARC.
All right, Sanjay, we've run out of time. We would have loved to chat some more, but you have a great festive season, and we'll see you again once again in the new year. Happy New Year to you.
Thank you.
And your entire team at KKR. Well, we'll take a break on that note. It's still flat for the market.